Every sidewalk poured, every school built, every neighborhood rising. It starts with the people who lay the foundation and the decisions that shape where the money flows and who it reaches. This mayoral race isn't just political, it's personal. For every corner of Birmingham, the stakes are high. BCNP presents Concrete Conversations. Real talk, real plans for a city ready to rise.
Good evening. My name is Jared Sims. I'm your host tonight for the BCNP Black Contractor News Podcast. And tonight we're going to continue our mayoral dialogue with candidate Lashaunda Scales. We're excited to have her this evening come and share her insight, her vision as she plans to move the city forward. We want to definitely thank her for taking the time to be a part of this effort and coming to talk to you, the community, the broader community about how she is going to govern, how she sees what we have going on now, and what her approach will be. So we'll get an opportunity to hear directly from her as what the expectations that she has for the city moving forward. Again, we want to say thank you for joining us. We're going to welcome Ms. Scales in. How are you doing tonight, Ms. Scales?
Oh, wonderful. Thank you for having me.
Hey, we really appreciate you taking the time to come and share some of your time. We know you're busy. You've got a lot of work to do.
Never too busy for you.
I understand. and full transparency. I've known Lashaunda for a long time.
Yep, absolutely.
I'm not new to this as relates to dealing or supporting her. She supported me for many years, so this is not new. I remember when she ran for city council. I was on that band then, so I'm not a Johnny-come-lately or some guy that's new to the scene. I've been supporting her. I think she does what she says. She's a worker. She works hard. So again, we're excited to have her here. First, we're going to let her give you some insight of actually who Lashaunda is, because most of you, or some of you, I would say, may not know her. So we're going to give her an opportunity to kind of share with you who she is, and again, why she's the person for Birmingham's top job. You're up, Lashaunda.
Well, yes, sir. Well, thank you. And again, thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
For those of you all who don't know who I am, first of all, let me say this. I am a wife. I'm a mother. I recently, about a year ago, became a proud grandmother. And I'm a business owner. In addition to being an elected official, I started this journey by being a neighborhood officer. Mm-hmm. And then I served there faithfully. Also, I was a block watch captain. And so on the community level, that's what I started doing. And then I ran for city council. Right. Obviously, I met you.
Yes.
And then from there, we served on the city council for 9 consecutive years. Mm-hmm. And then I sought for the office of commission so that we could grow what kind of resources that we could do to benefit the district that I proudly served. Okay. And now you see me today coming back to my roots. And I'm telling people, if you want to know why I am running for office, 47% of my district is Birmingham. Mm. And Birmingham is dying. I live in Birmingham. Mm. And when you look at, we were once number one when I was on the city council, right, to now we're number 4. Mm. We've had more than 16,000 residents to leave Birmingham with over 945 homicides, and that's just the ones that are reported. Mm. We're listed now as one of the top 10 most dangerous cities in the country. We've got to get off those lists. Yes. And for me to serve the greater community and not feel like I can do something to help my own, of course you have to have the authority to do it. You Sure. can have the will to want to do it, and as a commissioner I do. But I understand the Alabama state law, and that's what's tying my hands from being able to do it. But I know that we've got to do better. We've got to do the work, and we got to have plans. We can't just say we're working. You and I used to talk about that all the time. You can identify problems, but what are we going to do about it? Sure. And so hopefully we'll be able to engage what I'm going to do about it, and that's what it's all about.
Well, again, at the end of the day, like I said, I've known you to always take care of the community and be about engaging the community. I would say that you probably lead that charge as to engaging the community. I've seen you at a number of functions, and just ultimately, like I said, just engaging the community. I'm not saying that these other people don't. I'm just saying that I know what you do. So that goes without saying. So you are that person that's grounded and right here in the community.
Yeah.
Let's go here though, Lashaunda. So the Birmingham that you grew up in, tell us about that Birmingham, because we know that the one we got now is probably not the one that you and I shared, but let the folks know, you know, where we were and why we've got to, continue to develop the community and do better than even possibly when we were coming up. But tell us a little bit about the Birmingham you grew up in.
Well, first of all, let me say the Birmingham that I grew up in, I grew up on the west side of Birmingham. And I went to Illerton Elementary School, went from Illerton, also went to Lee Elementary School. My sister went to Parker High School, graduated from there. I've always lived on the west side, right? And Mom didn't have much. And I tell this story all the time because it's a testimony or a testament to single moms that I want you to know that the community has your back. And that's why I take the name on the Mama Scales, because I recognize my mom had to have someone to help her. My mother had 4 children, dead husband. My 2 older sisters were by that husband. Then my dad and mom weren't together, and then I had to help my mom to raise my younger brother. So that was my childhood in terms of, growing up, but then west side, right? And over time, one thing that I saw growing up, we could leave the door unlocked. You didn't have to be afraid to be at home. When my mom went to work, the next door neighbor looked out for you. And it was really looking out for my mom, because at the end of the day, if some little boy was to come over there, it's like, you let me know. But the bottom line was that you had a village.
Sure.
And Mom struggled, but Mom still had community folks in the neighborhood that wanted to help her. And so what I'm looking at now versus then is that everyone gets angry about the simplest thing. We're in a communication era where, we got cell phones, you got emails, you got text messages, you got all kind of forms of communication, and yet we still lack the ability to communicate, at least in a good way.
Right.
So then if you tick me off, I'm taking matters into my own hand. It doesn't matter if we are related or if I don't know you, all kind of stuff. See, we didn't do that back then.
Right.
And what I have seen, I always say, is the spirit of the leader flows down. And I think about the times when we may have thought that Larry Langford was extreme, but when you can hear a mayor on TV saying, I'm gonna whoop them whoops, and you like, what? The mayor said that. You know what I mean? I was talking to someone just today that told me, as a street kid, even how that inspired him. Well, that's the way I am naturally. I'm not trying to be like anyone else.
Sure.
Everyone has a gift, and that's my gift.
Right.
Is that I have the ability to speak into the life of young people. And like I said, if that answers your question,
it does.
It's totally different now than it was then.
Well, you kind of segue into my next question, which is you obviously weren't born a politician.
No.
So what changed? How did that become? What shaped the worldview that now puts you in this position that says, you know what, this is my contribution to society? What was that did that for you?
Well, if I'm honest, truthfully, it was my husband saying that God had given that to him. Now, if you know my husband, he's more of a at-home person. He didn't really get out anymore. And so anyway, we both are born again. And so anyway, I was helping someone on their campaign. And I never forget, he woke up that morning in 2001 and he said that God had spoken to him concerning this. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that, because I never saw anything happen in the black community by black leadership. I saw people trying to look important,
sure,
but I didn't see that transfer into the black community.
Right.
That for a poor girl, that wasn't my experience. So I didn't admire a lot of folks in this arena. And so anyway, to make a long story short, I tell my pastor, my founding pastor at Faith Chapel, and because his son is the pastor now, and I tell him, I said, man, I had to pray. I really struggled with this for more than 3.5 years because I never wanted to be phony. I never wanted to come out here and people believe in me, and then I behind their backs I'm cutting deals and all the stuff I just didn't like. And so to that extent, God dealt with me himself to explain to me why he first spoke to husband, because he does it in decency and in order. And then he began to deal with me about why he gave me such a genuine love for people. And those experiences that I had growing up for not having, I would be in a position to underserved communities and people in those communities. I can genuinely advocate for them because I've been where they are. And with that having said, that's how we got where we are. And I've never been a corporate person, as you know. I speak truth to power. And if I'm for you, you'll know it. If I disagree with something, I'm open always to be rational. But if I find it to be wrong, I'm just going to stand for what's right.
Well, here's the second part to the question that you raised, or a part of the statement you raised. As the leader of the city, would you say the attitude or the position or the feeling, is that a top-down thing? Is that something, does the mayor set the tone of how the city views itself? And, is that important?
Well, it is. And the mayor is the CEO. Just as it is with any corporation or business. The CEO of that company sets the tenor. You set the spirit of how we're going to conduct business. The culture is an extension of your brainchild. I'm not stupid. You go into the city, I'm not trying to go in and make folk lose their jobs and none of that. You have to make an assessment first. But you always go in as a leader with what you bring to the table. And what I bring to the table is that I'm a public servant. Those who work for the city will know that they are public servants
as well.
And if you treat your job and those who pay us our salaries, then we will be good. The main thing is that you understand you work for the public. And if the public is not satisfied, I've been always taught, you treat the customer as if they're always right. Even when they're wrong, they're right. But if you know that they don't know, our job is to show and explain how it's done, but never with the attitude of entitlement. I never have believed in that, and I've never served that way.
Absolutely. Which goes to this next question. Everybody, I would tend to agree, believes that the city needs to go in a different direction. With that being said, do you think the city needs saving? Do you think it's evolving? Or do you think it's stagnant?
Let me say this. If I had to say in one word what has killed Birmingham over time, or is killing Birmingham, is mediocrity. We have always played it safe. I think the only time that some things may have probably gotten out is maybe years ago, long time ago, when you had Richard Arrington, and then in other situations you probably had Larry Langford, right? But if you're going to remain competitive, you cannot be stagnant. You cannot become complacent. And most of all, you can never settle for what is. I supported, believe it or not, this mayor when he ran in 2017. And it was because the previous mayor, to me, had been in this arena for so long, it became more of just a position more than using the power that the position empowers itself to be able to change the lives of people. And sure, people say whatever it takes in order to get elected, but I don't work that way. And I made it very clear up front. If you're not going to do what you say you're going to do, just leave me out of your race. Because when I came here, remember I told you, I'm trying to change, with the help of God, the trajectory. That's why I struggle to even be a part of it. Because this going along to get along, you go to a school, you tell the children to be a leader, but then here you are a follower. You tell the children, if you believe in something, if you have to stand alone, think for yourself. But then in this
you're
arena,
not doing that. Yeah, you're not doing it. Yeah.
so the hypocrisy, and that is what keeps us really stagnant.
Sure.
Because if you think about it, and Jared, you know this, people who have vision, I always say people who believe in division talk about people.
Mm-hmm.
People who have vision, they're talking about ideas. They're thinking about things. They're always saying, hey man, what we can do to do this and that. And then look at other people's best practices and say, man, we can do that here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the way I'm built.
Yeah.
I don't like continuing to complain about something that I believe we have the power to change. So I want to be clear in saying this. I tell people all the time, I don't have any personal agenda or personal vendetta against anyone in office, including the current mayor. I'm against policies, the institutions that allow for you to continue, particularly in the black community, to see people struggling
and not do anything about it.
not even attempt to do anything about it. You would rather, if your neighborhood needs to be cleaned up, you say, well, take pride in where you reside. Well, how about I pay taxes, and why don't you come
that's
and...
expected.
Yeah, but I pay taxes.
That's expected.
So, you mean you want me to go to work every day and clean up the whole neighborhood?
Yeah.
No, that's not how we do.
Exactly.
And that's not where other segments of the city do it. That's why you pay taxes, right?
Exactly.
But then in addition to that, you know, Jared, we have to look at it from this perspective that people want to know that they matter.
Absolutely.
And I think that that's what the hopelessness in the black community has been. You know, when I go to Ansley, I go to Inglenook, I go to Collegeville, Hooper City, wherever near you, right? The bottom line is you're seeing blocks of blight, vacant lots, overgrown, dilapidated houses, all the stuff I stood for in 2017 that was supposed to be different.
Exactly, and which again goes back to every 4 years, that is a part of everybody's campaign, blight. So the question is, what are these folks, what are they getting wrong? Because I mean, every 4 years when it's time to talk about running for mayor, city council, everybody's talking about overgrown lots. My lot ain't getting clean. X, Y, and Z. So how are we continuing?
So
to
if you
do
notice,
that?
I'm not running on blight, but I can tell you how to remove blight.
That's what I want to know.
You get it?
Yes.
In other words, the reason why you're continuing on to do it, because I say if you judge a person by what they've already done, that lets you know if they're really going to do it. You understand? So in other words, even for myself, when I came before I became elected, I had adopted 10 schools. You and I, if you remember, we had over there at Huffman Ballpark, we had a movie night. And then one time we had a movie night over there where Huffman High School sits right now.
You did a cooking show in that parking lot.
Yeah, we did a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, had a whole carnival, all that.
Yeah.
But see, that's what we stopped doing.
Yeah.
We stopped looking at what have you done. I mean, I know you say you want to run for this, that, and other, and I appreciate your heart, but what have you done?
Exactly.
And that's how I became the first black city councilor, because
You put the work in.
I put the work in.
Yeah.
I mean, at that particular
Well,
time.
that's how it works. That's how it works in construction. As a general contractor, the owner does not. They don't want me to bring somebody on that job that's practicing. You need to already know what you're doing, which means that you've already got the experience to be doing this.
Yeah.
Now, there's a place for practicing, it's just not on this job.
There you go.
So, at the end of the day, when you come into the situation, we need you to understand what you're going to do and understand what's going on, and you need to have a plan forward. This is not the place to practice. And so, I would have to tend to agree that, you know, at the end of the day, you have to have put the work in. You know, I think, unfortunately, we have a little bit of that going on where people feel entitled for whatever reason, and they think that just based on their name or who they know gives them, like you said, the charge to not be effective, and nobody called that out. So at the end of the day, I can appreciate that. I mean, I really appreciate that. Tell you what, with that being said, you didn't really answer what did we need saving. Do we need saving?
Oh yeah, I wouldn't be running if we didn't need to be saved.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, that's what I was getting ready to say. Was that at the time when I was a council member, I saw the down spiraling of my district that needed to be saved. It's just one segment of the city. We have 9 districts, so I was District 1. We had at that particular time, I'll never forget, we were at 46% black, 42% white, 2% other. And I hope I'm doing the math right, but anyway, it equaled to 100. Let me just say that.
Okay.
And here's where we are. I can remember that even then when we had Home Depot, not Home Depot, we had headquarters. No, home quarters. You said it right. And then we had Quincy's, and we had all these different restaurants. And I could tell, I'll never forget when John Archibald, he wrote a story, and he referred to the Parkway as the poor man's Wall Street. He was talking about all the payday and title loan places. And I took such offense to that. I was like, yeah, but I mean, it wasn't like it wasn't the truth.
Yeah.
It was just the truth kind of hurt it, you know? And with that having said, looking at the city now, I wouldn't run if I didn't think that with the help of all the city departments, we can change the trajectory. The leader has to be intentional about changing the trajectory. The leader has to want to find ways to go to work and work while you're there. You know, photo ops are great, but I'll tell you
They
what's
need to be substantive,
But I'll
though.
tell you what greater is the work.
Sure.
You understand?
They need to be substantive.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that I know that's what we got away from. Birmingham was once a very substantive city. You got to remember, we changed the world.
I don't
We're
know why
the
people-
civil rights
and that
mecca
is
of the world.
That's what kind of disturbs me, and you know, I'm going to ask you what keeps you up at night, but that kind of keeps me up at night, where it's like we've left, you know, what we were, you know, identified as. I mean, we, again, I'm agreeing, we changed the world. The world moved based on Birmingham, Alabama.
That's right.
Period.
That's right.
And now I don't see that level of energy. I don't see that level of intensity. I mean, there was a pride. You know, I can remember when Dr. Arrington became the mayor. I mean, there was a whole type of pride. I mean, that even the city council at that time, I mean, it kept growing and evolving with, you know, strong personalities and people that at the end of the day asked the tough questions and they got stuff done. People just felt better about their situation. May not have been totally 100% where it needed to be, but collectively, there was not a lot of voter apathy. People were more engaged in the community. They were more engaged in the city. I just don't see that. What can you do to change the dynamic as it relates to where we find ourselves with civic engagement? I mean, what can you help us with that?
Well, if you remember, Jay, we came up with a slogan, connecting the community to government. When the community feels connected to its government and the government responds to that connection, people will get involved. For example, one of the things that I will absolutely reinstitute, because it doesn't require a lot to do, we used to get neighborhood flyers in the mail that told you when your neighborhood meetings took place, that told you who were your neighborhood officers, when your trash collection days were, when you put out recyclables, here's the local library, here's this, and whatever programs that the city offered, they would put it in it. So where we are now is that we get nice, beautifully colored front and back big brochures that come talking about the mayor and the council. But when it comes to giving you neighborhood level information where you can get engaged in the neighborhood where you live, we don't even have that. And even when I was on the council, that's what I used to talk to William Bell about. I mean, he was the mayor. I'm like, I don't understand this. As a council member, that bothered me because I didn't want to uneducate the people in my community to what I do, what the city's role was. Am I making sense?
Absolutely.
And then from there, I always came to my neighborhood meetings. I mean, that was one of my things. I don't care how much I've worked during the day. Typically, neighborhood meetings are Monday through Thursday. And then I would make it a point that me and my staff would go out at night. Every week, when I would do something, I would take a collection of what I have accomplished in that month based on District 1. And what that did was made the people in the community say, no, Scales accountable to us. Scales showing up. Scales sending us robocalls. Scales always doing something in the district, and she's inviting us to. And then I would give a report card of my own work, not only monthly, but annually. Then people felt like, yeah, I'm getting my money's worth. Okay,
that.
yeah, this lady, I'm gonna keep voting for her. And as a matter of fact, I'm the first 3-term incumbent, black or white, in District 1. And it was because the people recognize that's a level of trust that I can have in Scales, because she's allowing me to see paperwork, right? And I never forget one of the council members that represent District 3, Valerie Abbott, she would say, you know, the devil is in the details. And I would always tell people, question when you have a leader that never shows you paperwork. They never show you documentation. They just want you to take them at their word. That's not good governance, because what that does is you have to rely 100% on my honesty and my integrity. And I'm saying, no, people are human. Don't rely.
They should be a part of the process.
They should
anyway.
well, I understand, but you know, this is what makes absolute power absolutely corrupt.
Sure.
You know, I don't want you to do that with me. I want you to be able to know and have oversight in terms of what I do. So I absolutely believe, no, Birmingham has to be saved. I live in Birmingham. My children live in Birmingham. My grandbaby lives in Birmingham. And we got to leave a legacy. You know, there's no way in the world Dr. Shuttlesworth and some of the foot soldiers and the people.
I don't think they'd be pleased. I don't think they'd be
Not
pleased.
only would they not be pleased, the shameful part is we don't even tell the story. We don't even tell the history of what. Do you know that this administration, meaning this mayor, defunded the Civil Rights Activist Committee?
Wow, no, I didn't know that.
Where you do that at? Like, you didn't give no money, that's defund. It don't matter how you look at it. Urban League, Urban Impact, all these black organizations that are specifically geared.
They got funds.
No, they
reduced?
have no. They're not even in the budget. They're not even in the budget.
Okay, now you telling me a sad story.
Yeah, well, I'm telling you the truth, and it's the truth that sets us free. So what are you gonna do, Lashaunda? Put them back in the budget, like I always voted for them when I was there on the council? Because if there is a focus on other communities, but when it comes to the black communities, we always got some kind of issue. I don't understand. There should always be a place, and we're praying for the Woods family, because Bishop Calvin Woods is going through some health challenges right now. But I was just telling someone last week, our historical figures, they are dying. And for us to not even be telling the story while they're alive and can hear it.
But again, that's
hurtful.
That's because the folks that are in these positions, they have no connection to that. And that's disappointing. I don't understand. They should see what's going on not only around the world, but certainly in the nation, that, you know, you got to fight for this stuff. This is not, I tell people all the time, at the end of the day, I don't understand why you have an issue with me having an issue of me not being included in the prosperity that I help generate with my tax dollars.
Yeah.
I said, if, you know, Ms. Parks had, you know, and the folks that were around her didn't understand the importance of making sure that she got representation for whatever that was, a quarter, a dime, or whatever it was to get on that bus.
Yeah.
She should have been allowed to use the dime and go through the front door like everybody else that used the dime.
Right.
Now, if you're going to charge me less money than you're charging the person that you're allowing to go on through the front door, then I'm good with it. I'll go and get on off, and because that's what goes with it.
Yeah.
But if I got to pay the same dime or quarter, then I expect to go through the same door. I don't expect to pay the quarter, get off the bus, walk in the rain to the back of the bus, and get back on the bus. That is insane. So at the end of the day, what we don't seem to have are people that understand that, just that basic principle, that at the end of the day, this is not about me needing to be entitled to anything because I'm black. Before we even get to that, you have my tax dollars as a part of this new development you're doing.
Yeah.
And I expect to be a part of that. That's an expectation. Like you said, cutting grass, picking up trash, those are givens. So we don't need to talk about that. I want you to tell us what your understanding about the economic justice that's obviously needed for the city of Birmingham. I mean,
Yeah.
we're in a bad place when it comes to black business in the city of Birmingham.
That's right.
And you know, a lot of people have talked about it, but it hadn't been significantly addressed. So, I mean, we always talk about what happens in Atlanta. Why are we still talking about what they are doing, did, and all this, and we cannot seem to make that happen here? Why?
Well, because we don't have courageous leaders. It takes courage. See, what your audience needs to know is that my dad and mom weren't together, but my father was a businessman. He was a young man that grew into a businessman. A.G. Gaston, Dr. Gaston, was his mentor that he took to heart to the day he died. And one of the things that my dad said to me growing up, I'll never forget, he said, Lashaunda, we were in Collegeville. He had it was called Uncle John's Grocery. It was a little grocery store. And I never forget, he said, Lashaunda, let me tell you something. If a black man have this, and he was just pointing out his different business, he said, they're going to say that you selling drugs and you're doing something illegal. But when it come down to other folks, Lashaunda, they say it's just business. And of course, my dad always spoke very firmly. People don't understand when I speak as forward or as candidly as I do. I was trained that way by him because my dad had been discriminated against so much as a black business owner. And he couldn't understand being in a black city. He was the first black to ever promote a Michael Jackson show, a Prince, I was about to say Prince of Bel-Air, but I'm not. I'm saying Will Smith. That's what I'm trying to say. LL Cool J. Some of these big name art. My dad started the first outdoor concerts
The Southern Heritage Festival
in Alabama. You understand? Period. And doing all of these different things, and come home to his own hometown, and he wasn't received. And I say to black business owners, I'm a prayer for you, because I understand it from seeing those stripes on my dad's back that he would go out here and represent the city. And people would say, man, John Ray is like the godfather in the entertainment business, and come home and be treated like a peasant. You understand? And so that's why I tell people, legally, lawfully, I cannot do anything for John Ray. But what I can do, when I see black business owners like yourself and others, you don't have to ask me twice. I believe that we have never gotten to the point where we are at this equality. We're just fighting for equity right now. And equity is just saying, can you at least put us in parity?
And your first
equality is going over, but we haven't even gotten to equality.
We haven't even gotten to the
let's
point
just
where you
get the
acknowledge
equity.
that there's an issue here.
Let's just get equity.
Yeah.
And we got to get to a point, Jared. It's okay for black people to make money without you trying to make black people to feel like you're doing something wrong. Matter of fact, to be honest with you, because I do own a business, it's so hurtful when I hear most people say, Scales, most of the business that I get is not even in Birmingham. And I say, you know what? Mine either.
And it's unfortunate.
Mine either.
Now, I will say this. We've worked all over the state. We've done what we wanted to do here in the city of Birmingham.
Yeah.
But Mr. Poindexter, 92 years old, of course you know, he was telling me how wonderful it was to work in the Tri-Cities, and I never really considered that. And he's like, man, this is the 92-year-old. He said, man, I didn't never do no work in Birmingham. After I left Birmingham with building churches with Mac and Pond, I went north, and I stayed up there for 15 years. And he said the work and the opportunities are vast. He said the people don't put that kind of the energy that seems to be down here as to, you know, preventing people from developing or scaling their businesses up. He said, man, there's just so much work. So I know what you're saying is not it's true.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that is a problem. So we've got to have that level of, like you said, of leadership that understands the importance.
Well, and when I say courage, let me tell you why it requires courage. I learned quickly that the Alabama legislature, in order for us, like over in Atlanta or in Washington, D.C., where Marion Barry was able to incorporate black-owned businesses intentionally, right? So I asked, folk call it MBEs and minority business enterprises, so y'all know what I'm talking about. And anyway, I said, well, what do we need to do? Well, we need to get a law in the legislature where they will be able to, pass a mandate that you have minority participation. Well, the federal definition of minority has changed because that also means white women, blacks, black women, disabled, right? Okay, so
Hispanics as well,
and Latinos. So when we start looking at, well, what is the black folks? What the black-owned business is going to do? It's so shameful that unfortunately, the stain of just talking about black agenda, black concerns. You have black elected officials that are afraid. That's why I told y'all it takes courage.
And I know you're telling the truth because at the end of the day,
courage.
When that situation happened, and I'm speaking to it because it's not something that's not news. When the amphitheater was being built, just before we went into court, they gave us the people that were involved in the project 2 days before we went to court. And I'm telling you, there were only 2 black people on that $46 million project, of which, as you know, the city put in $10 million and the county put in
$5.
They put in $5.
Yeah.
Okay. That's $15 million.
Well, the city put in actually over $20 million over time.
Which begs the point, and so
which should have been negotiated.
And not only that, the question is, they're looking at me like I'm crazy because I'm saying, well, we don't even get 1 penny of the $46 million.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't understand how that's a problem for somebody to do. Especially if you are, as you say, you're a Christian community. You believe that God loves me just like He loves you.
Yeah.
Well, apparently you're thinking that He loves me is different because He would have me to have just like you, I would think.
Well, here's what I say, and I say this to people all the time. I'm not trying to get anyone to dislike this current mayor. What I'm trying to get us is to grow beyond personality and look at performance. That's what you're talking about. How do you perform? I have a saying that a lot of people, they kind of, when I say it, but businessmen that don't look like you and I, they are into power. We, as black people, are into pride. I don't like you. I don't like your shoes. I don't like this. And then it keeps us from looking at the bigger goal. Where are we collectively, financially? If I'm going to tell you something, that was a big wake-up call for me as a commissioner. I was at a UNCF program. I don't want to be specific, but not too long ago. And I had gone at this particular time, the week before, they had what they call a cat ball, and this was for the Humane Society. They raised over $1 million for animals. I love animals. I have a pooch myself. Love her. UNCF could raise $50,000 from the floor, and you talking about educating a black mind. Wow. See, I'm the type, I'll sit back and watch that and say, yeah, we got to do better. We got to do better. Because we say things are a priority, but where your heart is, your treasury going to follow. If the treasury is not following, there is no love. It's like I keep telling folk, it's not about how you feel about the city leader. It's about, obviously, how the city leader feel about you. That's what you're talking about when you're saying about these contractors. How do you build you put $90 million into a stadium you don't even own? $3 million for 30 years. And yes, I did vote against it, but it was primarily because I knew our roads needed to be paved. I knew that our police force obviously was going to be impacted. City workers who deliver city services were going to be impacted. But more importantly, how many black contractors did you negotiate to be a part of that deal? You didn't mandate. In fact, there's a clause that the city is actually supposed to enforce, and that's local hires. But it takes a mayor to have the courage to say, no, we're going to not only, you're not going to just tell us it's minority participation, we're going to have oversight over this contract, and we want to see who you're contracting with.
Absolutely.
Because that has to be a goal. Every community has to prosper. That's the reason why certain comments are being made about inner cities and all that kind of stuff, and they feeding off the American people. Well, the unfortunate reality is that if all you want to feed me are breadcrumbs, I'll never be able to lace up my own boots and pull up my own self, because you haven't given me the resources. Well, just go and get it. Get it how? Steal it? You can't steal it. All you can do is ask for it.
You got to have the opportunities.
Accessibility to opportunity.
And then that is how you get the Stones that started in the 90s, just like we did. And now all of a sudden, he's the guy, or it's not even the same guy that's building this stadium out here. It's because, again, he kept getting the opportunities over and over. And that's just anything. If you keep getting the opportunity, you're going to get good at it. It's simple as that. We started, my father bought a Service Master franchise in 1992. He's owned rental property since I was a kid, so that was my introduction to it. But insurance companies wanted a one-stop shop. So Service Master was a fire and water restoration company. So Service Master would do the content cleaning, but they wanted a company that could also build the structure back after it burned or whatever the case may be. That's how Sims Contractors came about. So we're licensed home builders as well as licensed general contractors. But the point is, we're not where we were in 92. We've been in business since we've been licensed state general contractors since 94. So in 2025, we're not the same company. We're a better company. We are a more deliberate company. We work all over the state. We've got a number of, nice projects to our claim. I mean, we've done everything from new construction, renovations. I mean, you name it, we've done it. But that's because we went after those opportunities, and again, we consistently kept working. You're going to get better. There's no perfect in nothing. We get that. Construction is not a perfect science. It's not. But at the end of the day, what you got to do in order to, like you said, to be able to scale and to increase bonding, and that you've got to have the opportunity, because that's one of the criteria of the requirements with respects to increasing bonding. The bonding company wants to see the experience. They want to see the type projects you've done. You're asking for this. Okay, what did you do here?
That's right.
So again,
can't get to the big project if you can't be allowed the opportunity to participate in the small one.
Exactly. So what we're going to do now is we need to let Lashaunda just kind of tell us what her thoughts are as it relates to the city and where she'd like to see the city go. And then the last part of that, I want you to tell us all, how are we going to see Lashaunda Scales, her tenure as mayor 4 years from now? Tell us about that.
Well, first of all, again, I still want to thank you for allowing me this opportunity, this platform.
I'm looking forward to it. You know that.
And yes, sir. And so I can tell people I'm very high energetic, and I like to do things that most people think are real unconventional. So, for example, when I talk about fighting violent crime, we want to be able to say we can't eliminate, so don't let nobody tell you that it can be eliminated, because it'll always be here.
Sure.
Because of human behavior. But what you can do is establish a culture where people know that they're safe, like it used to be, where people know that folk will go to jail and be penalized if they think that they're going to come and rob, steal, and kill in Birmingham. We're just not going to do it. right? And we have a plan for that. But in addition to that, we're talking about being proactive so that we're not reactive to even put you in jail. We want to help grow you as an individual by providing those different opportunities, whether it be educational, whether it be social, whether it be getting you some financial literacy classes. There are so many different opportunities and partners that are out there. The city of Birmingham just has to care enough to invoke them and get them involved, right? But in addition to that, we are talking about fighting for our city assets. The Waterworks vote. There's a story behind that. Won't bore you with all the details, but I'll tell you. In short, City of Birmingham by William Bell and Anthony Barnes at that particular time sold water.
You know, you obviously know what we're dealing with. And the one good thing is, like you said, we don't need somebody coming into this position practicing. We got to know how to navigate this. You know, this is no on-the-job training type of situation.
Yeah.
The situation is too dire right now.
Yeah.
So we don't have time for that. We got to have people that understand the importance of, you know, getting it done right now.
That's right.
That's kind of what I understand about our situation. And so at the end of the day, I'm sure that the community, they're ready for development. They're ready for this. They know about Wylam not being developed in the business district. They know about Inslee. They know about the Preston. They know the North Birmingham business district has not had the right attention to it. None of these areas have. So they are waiting on this opportunity to be a part of something that's, you know, bigger than ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we're looking for. We're looking for that leader that's going to take us there.
Yeah.
Not the conversation, not the promises, but actually going to get us there.
Well, I can tell you with Lashaunda Scales, no more broken promises. Anyone that knows me and know how I have governed for the past 15 years of my public service, if I tell you something, I'm going to do it. If I can't do it, I'll even tell you that. I tell people up front, even no is an answer. But what we're not going to do is be dishonest with those who pay us our salaries. With Lashaunda Scales, you got someone that, first of all, when I was on the city council, first of all, I served as the chair of economic development, sat on budget and finance. I did the very best job that I could do based on the power that's granted to the council member at that time, which was to advocate, to set policies, that mean legislate, to pass a balanced budget with my community or my district in mind. And then we made board and agency appointments from our various districts. And of course, I put folks out of the community on these boards that I thought were very helpful to our community, right? In addition to that, you're talking about $425 million is where I was at the city. At the county, we've gone as high as $1.4 billion to as a matter of fact, we're at $999 million now, right at basically $1 billion. And even the dip that we had based on recession and costs going up. But let me just tell you, you're dealing with someone that understands policies when it comes down to the public sector, who understands money, approving budgets, knowing how to appropriate budgets for the benefit of not only the business community and stakeholders, but for the residents of Birmingham who have to have services, basic core city services, police, fire, public works, street and sand, libraries, public transportation, park and rec. These are things that you pay for.
They're carrying the burden.
Absolutely. So for us, we have to understand that as a taxpayer, if we're not delivering on just basic city services, how can we graduate to even thinking about the business sector in a holistic way? Because that's what you're talking about. Not just if we're not going, you know, we got to go with all of the major folk. I don't even want to call the major folk. You all know who you are. But we're talking about mom and pop shops, the small businesses, that this is what is the backbone of this country. It is the backbone of our city and our county. And we've got to do a better job of supporting small businesses. And those opportunities will be there with me. Speaking of talking about being ready day one, those things that I know that we're going to be looking to institute instantly, and that is we're going to assess where we are as relates to the needs, the resources that the police needs to solve crime. I'm not interested in just arresting folks. We got to arrest folk, but we got to recruit people. We got to retain what we have. There's a breakdown, a humongous breakdown. You dial 911, why in the world I'm being put on hold?
I thought that was a joke.
Or transferred.
People are really being put on hold right now? I mean, I thought that was a joke.
Someone attempted to break in my home with me there. I dialed 911. Not only did the police not ever show up, I had 2 incidents to happen, and guess what? They still didn't show up. Yeah, we got work to do. And I will tell you, when I say fighting for the city assets, you need a fighter.
You do.
That's the problem. Everybody is on the fence to save themselves. Whatever productivity you see happening right now, it's gonna fade away. Matter of fact, I'll never forget there was supposed to be some, I forgot the name of in fact, they had it in part of Black Enterprise, and they were talking about this home development over there off of Lakeshore that never happened. That's what I meant by the photo opping. No, I mean, this stuff got to work out. You can't talk about SHIP that receives incentives from the city, supposed to be doing local hiring, and going out of business. We got to do better. And more importantly, but when you start talking about, at one time when I was at the city, you had 2% interest, low interest, a letter of credit that the city could do for small businesses. You don't even hear about that. And I think all of that is unfortunate. But we're going to have to use the law department, getting back to the city assets, to fight lawmakers. We're going to have to fight to protect our city assets.
We got to have people that fight. That's simple as that. I've had people...
Not win battles, but win wars.
I've had people tell me that very thing. Well, they going to take us to court. I mean, so
well,
what?
That's why you got a whole law department.
Exactly. I mean, if Thurgood Marshall and all those guys thought, well, they going to take us no, they didn't care nothing about none of that. They got to the end of the situation that changed it for us. And so you got to have people that understand, everybody knows this. People that are scared before they get in the ring, they usually lose the fight. Mike Tyson became famous for that. These guys lost the fight before they even got in the ring.
That's right.
So if you don't have people that are willing to stand up and fight for a culture, a community, if you don't have that on, from the onset, that ain't something you can develop. You got to either have that or you don't.
I've never seen a cool fighter. You understand what I mean? I've never seen, when people say, well, so-and-so is cool. I'm like, oh, okay, but hey, where we are right now, we got to have someone that's in the foxhole.
Yes.
Someone that's getting down and they don't have no problem with this what we got to do. However we need to come out, this is what got to happen lawfully. This got to happen. And that's why I'm even talking about jobs. So only 3 things that we're talking about: violent crime, protecting our city assets, because once you lose all your city assets, you cease to be a city. Let me tell you that. And then lastly, our folk got to have jobs. But that means that we have to provide support to existing businesses and recruit new industry. We got to recruit new industry. But listen, if the ones you have, you don't try to work with them, recruiting folk, you just gonna have a whole turnstile, just a revolving door. So we're talking about a plan for retention, a plan to recruit, and more importantly, streamlining the process. How in the world can you tell me in 2025, the city of Birmingham still requiring you to come in person to get a business license, and if you attempt to do it online, that gets to be a charge to keep? That's crazy.
5 minutes. Okay.
And in addition to that, along with streamlining it, we got to make sure customer service is satisfaction guaranteed. You coming to pay your business license, anyone who accepts your money at that window, you're paying their salary.
Absolutely.
So you got to have customer service. And that's the reason why I said no. And then we're looking at doing some public-private partnerships and utilizing the Community Reinvestment Act so that we can be able to help support local businesses.
And develop business districts like Wylam and...
Oh, absolutely. As a matter of fact, we can not just allow one person in Ensley who has a business and he's redeveloping the whole business sector. I'm saying no, the city should be a partner in that. City should be a partner, like you said, in these old even in North Birmingham. They once had a business district. Really you look over in, like you said, Wylam, all of these areas at one time had a very thriving business community that sustained the community. We can go back to that, and we will.
I agree. Well, again, we want to say thank you to Lashaunda Scales for coming out this evening and sharing with us her vision. I think we all got a better insight as to who she is and what she plans to do. So again, we want to say thank you. But before we go, we're going to let her give her information as to how you can support her, how you can contact her if you've got issues or concerns, but more importantly, how you can actually support her candidacy.
Well, first of all, again, thank you.
Absolutely.
And if you want to volunteer or donate, I'm telling you to join this movement. This movement is to change the trajectory. It's not about changing Lashaunda and giving Lashaunda another kind of government job. It's about Lashaunda offering myself to work for you on your behalf in partnership where you can see it. So I want you to join our movement by going to Scales. BHM.com, SCALESBHM.com. You can go there, you can donate, you can also volunteer, but most of all, we want you to get out to vote. I got a saying, let's take back our city. But a part of us taking back our city, I'm saying take you and your 4 and some more. You plus your 4 and some more. And if the black people just come out to vote, it's over.
I'm in total agreement. And again, we just want to say thank you to Ms. Scales for, again, coming out, sharing her ideas and her insight as to how she would move us forward. Again, my name is Jared Sims. I'm with BCNP, the Black Contractor News Podcast, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching the Black Contractors News Podcast, presented by the Black Contractors Association, Alabama Chapter. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon to stay updated on all our latest videos. See you next time.
This is a night you don't want to miss. Saturday, September 20th, live at the Tuxedo Ballroom, presented by the Black Contractors Association of Alabama. It's We Are One, a tribute to Frankie Beverly, the young vocals in the movement, featuring Jubu Smith and DJ Chocolate. Come dressed in all white and toast to Black excellence. From 7 to 11, good food, drinks, and unforgettable energy. We Are One, a tribute to Frankie Beverly. Get your tickets now at Black Contractors Association, IncAC.org, or Eventbrite.